We're here to remember my uncle, John Gale. He died, that was quick. But we're here to remember my Uncle John. He died October 15th. He'd been really sick with lung disease, and in spite of all that, he had a pretty good last few months. He was one of those guys that everyone sort of knew him, but I don't know, how many people really knew, who he really was. He was very important to me. He certainly gave me my start in life when I left home. I can't say enough about what he did for me. Touched so many people's lives because he was just always out there trying to help somebody. He was a libertarian, capitalist, non-judgmental guy. And this is actually John's dad, the tall guy, and his uncle Roy, his dad Ross. They were ladies' men. Kind of notorious, I think. You see the dress, beaver coats and all. When I knew my grandfather, he was not much fun, and neither was his brother. And my uncle had asked him, "Dad, why did you divorce Mom?" And he goes, "Well, John, the biggest mistake of my life was the day that I married your mother." And looking at the dates and all, we can later see what a big influence the shotgun probably had on Ross Gale's decision to abandon the carefree bachelor life and marry Elizabeth. So my dad, my uncle, and their sister, they kind of had a rocky beginning. My dad's first memory is a police search in the house. Their father was in jail. It was really a terrible beginning. They didn't eat. They got thrown out of every place they ever lived after they lost their house. And yet, in spite of that, you look at what he became and say, this is the power of just keeping on, having a higher vision, and trying to achieve something better than what you came from. This is John and his sister. This is just John. Plainfield, Vermont. A lot less trees then. This is John and his mother. She was an English woman born in London. This was their house in Plainfield. Lost at some point during the Depression. Him and his mom again. Probably he's 4 there. This is actually my dad at 10. They didn't have many pictures because they were so poor. The thing you'll notice is there are no pictures of the Happy Gale family because none were ever taken. I don't think they were together very much. This is a building here. This brick building that you see is where they lived until my dad and John were probably 12 and 13. Plainfield, Vermont. Looks just the same today as it did then. This is my dad, my uncle, John with the galoshes. I had to wear those as a kid too. I always hated those things. Capital Market. He worked here in Montpelier all through high school. Still there. This is the run of pictures that they took on some field trip. It was all the houses that they got thrown out of that they could still find. I think I only have 4 of them. I think there was 9. Some must have been taken down. This picture I think John took. This is my dad on the upper left, looking somewhat ripped there for 17. Swim team was small. So here we are. This is sort of the image I always had of military life, hoisting a pint, but, further into the night, plainly. Here he was. He made some field trip to Paris, so at this point he's probably about 22. This is New Year's Eve at La Paloma with Smokey Gomez on the left there. Who knows where he is today? He's alive. More from the Paris trip. Still in Germany. It's about the end of his deployment. Whoops. This was when he was at BU, and he worked at Sam's Drugstore. So who knows how long he worked there, but now here's something that, to me, this is of all the pictures that I found, this is the most surprising. This was my uncle's wife. It didn't last for very long. I'd only heard that she existed, but this was Joan. I think they were married for a couple of years around when I was born. She got 3 whole pictures. So, he came to Vermont one time, and I remember watching, he was like 40, he came with his girlfriend who seemed like she was 21, and the whole weekend my friends rode back and forth by on their bikes trying to get a look at the car or her. I always felt I'll never be as cool as my uncle, and you know, I never will be. Who knows what beach this is? This is as close you'll see as come to seeing him undressed. This was in front of a restaurant. I think he ran, although to me it looks like an IHOP, but he ran some Patrick McManus's, and so that's my guess. And this, when I think of my uncle, this is the man I remember. This face. Here's the 70s. Pipes were being used for many things, but the beard and all. What is that? A Van Dyke? I don't even know, but. I like this one a lot too. I remember him coming up when I was probably late in high school. This was the man. This was my Aunt Jean and my uncle at the Boston Garden, probably 78. She didn't come around too much. This was her husband at the time, Bob, the Constitution. This is us in Vermont, my uncle shooting, my dad in the front, and me with a gun in the eye in the back. More Vermont picture. When I moved here, John had potatoes planted in the backyard, and here he is digging them. Along with in the back there was this gas company van, which had some scary rides in. There were no seat belts, paint cans rolling around. Always an event. Kind of captures my uncle's excitement about children in this one. This is Benjamin Gale Chen, who's now about 30. Jack and Shirley lived in the back apartment, and they were in grad school, I guess, when they had him. Here's Benjamin, a little bit older. Striking a pose. I think this is up on that high hill in New Hampshire. I think this is a joke mugshot because it's 8 by 10, and I've never seen one that big. I think that's at Truro, just fading away there. He had a girlfriend down there, apparently. This is my favorite picture. This is my uncle and I in 1983 in June, the door of 900.
I remember that shirt.
Yes. Yeah, I met you when I was wearing that shirt.
We're like Bee Gees standing in the doorway behind you.
Nice jeans, Dad.
Yeah, shades of my own mortality in this one, though. My uncle's about the same age I am now when this picture was taken. At some point, John went on a trip to Belgium and Germany. He kind of revisited his military service. He said it was pretty different when he got over the second time. This is Joe Cook. I don't know who he is, but I kind of like the picture. They both look so happy, and who knows what has gone on.
What's in the back?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. What is in that bag? I think it's a shirt, actually. This is at our apartment at Hancock Street, probably about 1990. Only time I can remember him having a Christmas tree. This was about 1994. Before his apartment was filled with art. And this is the last time he and my dad and their sister were together. My little sister's wedding. So 1995.
The last time you wore a tie?
Probably the first time he wore a tie.
That's
For
nice.
you.
I don't know who made this joke artist cover, but kind of captures the man. Not sure whose baby that was. This is him watching maple sugar being made up at some cousins up in Vermont, the Cutlers. There's a more pose that I think of him in. You can see the art's beginning to fill in there. I don't know where this gallery is, but he's looking at this painting, which he now owns. I don't know if he just bought it or what, but he has kind of a smug look on. And this, out back, he laid the cobblestone yard. 13,000 cobblestones. Long after all of us are gone, people are going to be walking on those cobblestones and say, who did this anyway? Well, it was John Gale.
They'll think it was really old.
Yeah, they'll think this is from 1792. And this is other labor of love toward the end, was get this cast iron fence in front of 900, which it apparently originally had. He spent a ton of money on this, but it does look beautiful. A run of his licenses and IDs here. He kept all kinds of things. Yeah, look at that. I don't know what happened there, but he seemed uncommonly cheerful for dealing with the government. This has been a cute girl behind the camera.
What does the F stand for?
Oh, F. That's the other thing about John. This is John. His full name is John Freeman Gale. Could there be a more perfect name for the man? He lived his name. He was free. He lived by his own standard. And he was content with, I think, with what it brought him. But yeah, what a perfect name. Looks distressingly like Whitey Bulger in this one, I think. This one especially. So here we run into the picture. That's the end of the pictures of John. These are pictures he took. This is Tom Zanetti, who's around here someplace. At first, I thought it was, oh yeah, there he is. I thought it was Nick Dent, who lives next door here, but I realized it was 15 years before he was born. So here it's just this huge run of women he'd taken pictures of.
Yeah, but you knew how to take them.
Yeah, I think that a lot of really high quality work. I went through it, hard work on my part. I culled out most of the nudes. This is Lenny the nude, who we saw before, but
That may be
not
just
nude.
myth, you know. She may not have been.
He liked this woman too. I mean, pictures anyway.
Oh, that one looks lethal. She's pretty.
He certainly got some cute girls to get in front of his camera.
Is your arm stable?
Huh?
Is this your arm stable?
Yeah, maybe it was. I like this one a lot. Straight into the camera. He liked this woman too at time. There was an awful lot of pictures of her. Sadly, no nudes have surfaced, but, well, you know.
This is just, you made that up.
Yeah, that's so weird as that thing.
Oh my God.
The government center there. That's the, what, the Plough? I don't know how he crept in. It's a good picture, but it's not the customary material. This is more of what my uncle was known for, I think. There was some spell where women wore no tops but only umbrellas. I was too young to remember it, unfortunately. That was Jane. These are her legs. I don't know why they got separated. And then there's this. Is this my shirt? And then this, I don't know, some snowstorm, just a couple of odd pictures that he liked. This is very...
That one hung in his hallway.
Maybe.